All right, so today we're going to talk about area and perimeter of composite figures. But before we can get into what composite figures are, we need to start by just talking about regular plane figures. So a plane figure is just a two-dimensional figure. Think of shapes that you've been familiar with since elementary school: triangles, rectangles, circles, and so on. So let's start off with some vocabulary. The first word we're going to talk about is perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around any plane figure. Circumference is the distance around a special figure. It's around a circle. And then area. Area is the space inside of a plane figure. So the space covering the inside of a plane figure. So area is how much space it takes up. So let's look at some of the plane figures that we're going to talk about today, and the formulas that go with them to find area and sometimes how to find perimeter. So the first figure we have is a triangle. We've got a square, rectangle, circle, and then these, which might be new for you, we have a trapezoid, and next we have a parallelogram. Okay, so you will be using a formula sheet. This is what you would see on the SOL test. It's what we'll use in class, and it has all of these formulas. I just included the most basic ones. A lot of stuff on the formula sheet, like these 3D figures, you won't need for today, so we're just going to focus on the two-dimensional ones in the notes. You'll notice that for a lot of these formulas, there are letters. We have A, B, H, S, and so on. A stands for area. We've got a key here. There's also a key for some of the letters on your formula sheet, but there's not always a description of what a letter means. You just have to look at the picture. So for instance, for a square, area is S squared. Well, I don't know what S means, so let's look at the picture. S just represents the length of a side, and for a square, both sides are the same, the length and the width are the same, so it's just that side length. So we're going to start off by finding the area and the perimeter of some different shapes. So let's check out our first shape. And right here we have a rectangle. So anytime I want to find the area or the perimeter, I need to look for the formula for those shapes. So let's find our rectangle. Here it is. To find the area, area is L times W. So what does L and what does W mean? L means length, so the length of one of the sides. W is width, so it's the length of the adjacent side. So not the one opposite, but the one that's next to it, okay? So our area is length times width. So looking at our rectangle, what is our length and what is our width? It can be helpful to look at the formula when you're looking at a picture to determine what length and width are. They represent length as this direction, width as this. You can interchange them, it doesn't really matter. For our case, let's say that the length is 8. So this side length right here. And our width is 3. So to find the area, we're going to multiply those numbers, 8 times 3. Hopefully we can do that in our head, but if not, have no fear. We've got a Desmos calculator. Let's try 8 times 3, and we get 24. Now, whenever you're talking about shapes, when you have units, centimeters, feet, inches, you always want to include those units in your answer because we're talking about a figure. So we need to talk about like what we're measuring it by. So this example had centimeters. So the area in this case is centimeters squared, or we could say 24 square centimeters. So that's how we'd find the area. For the perimeter, let's check out our picture. The perimeter has a formula for it, and you can certainly use that formula. But perimeter itself is really just the distance around a shape. So I'm going to show you how you can just look at the shape and figure out the perimeter, whether it's a rectangle, a trapezoid, a triangle, really anything. So let's take a closer look at the shape. So I know that this side is 3 and this side is 8, but I don't know what these sides are over here. But if we can remember anything about rectangles, we should know that opposite sides are congruent. They're the same. So if this side down here is 8 centimeters, The side that's opposite or across from it is also going to measure 8 centimeters. Similarly, if the side is 3, the opposite side will also be 3 centimeters. Now, if the perimeter is just the distance around this, we're just going to add up all of those sides. So the way that I do this is I like to use a highlighter. We don't really have a highlighter here, so I'm going to try my best to do this. So we're going to take 3, and then we're going to add another side, 8, another side, 3. So I'm just kind of tracing around the figure till I get all of the sides, okay? So to find our perimeter, we're going to add up 3 plus 8 plus 3 plus 8. All right, I'm going to check my work with my Desmos calculator. So we're adding up all 4 sides of the rectangle, and we get that the perimeter, the distance around the figure, is 22. 22 what? Well, we're talking about centimeters. So perimeter, again, you could just add up all of the sides. If you wanted to, you could use the formula for perimeter. Not all shapes have a formula for perimeter. A rectangle actually does. It looks like P equals 2 times L plus 2 times W. Let's try that, and you can see how it actually does work that way. So perimeter equals 2 times L plus 2 times W. Well, what is our L, our length in this example? Let's say our length is 8. So 2 times 8 plus 2 times width. What was our width? Our width was 3. So now we can simplify that. 2 times 8 would give us 16, plus 2 times 3 is 6. So our perimeter would still equal 22 centimeters. When we talk about perimeter, it's not, doesn't have to be a unit squared. It's just a length. So we don't need to put centimeters squared. We're just going to put centimeters because we could measure that entire distance around that rectangle and we have a perimeter of 22 centimeters. All right, let's check out this next figure. So we just found the area and perimeter of a rectangle. This next figure is a triangle. So let's start off by talking about, well, how do you find the area of a triangle? I'm going to need a formula for that. Let's reference our formula, and there it is. Area equals 1/2 BH. Little b means base length, so it's the length of the base, and h is height. So we'll start off by writing that. Area is 1/2 base times height. Looking at our picture, we need to decide, well, what is b, what is the base, and what is h, what's the height? Because we only need 2 numbers for this formula, but there's a lot of numbers going on in here. So again, you can always reference the formula sheet. That's something that I like to do. So I'm going to pull it up on the side here so we can kind of see it a little bit better. Okay. So if that's our triangle, they don't always look exactly the same, but the base is just one of the sides and the height is perpendicular to that. So let's look at our picture. We'll say that 14 is our base and then 12 is the perpendicular height of the triangle. So now we're just going to plug in those numbers. Area is 1/2 times the base of 14 and a height of 12. We can go ahead and plug that into our Desmos calculator. 1/2 times base of 14, height of 12. And we get 84. We always need to include our units. So in this case, our units were feet. So we could say 84 square feet. Or 84 feet squared. Now let's go ahead and find the perimeter of this triangle. So let's go up to our formulas. Here's our triangle. It has an area formula. It doesn't have a perimeter formula, but that's okay. Remember, for perimeter, it's just the distance around a figure, so you don't need a formula for it. Let's check out this figure and let's decide what we're going to use to find the distance around it. So if I was doing this on paper, I'd use a highlighter. Don't quite have that, so we're going to try our best here. So I kind of like to go over it with a different color. So we want the distance around. So let's go ahead and The first side of the three sides is 12.6 feet. Then we have another side that is 15.6 feet. Picture is going to be off a little bit, sorry. And then the third side is 14 feet. So to find the perimeter, we're going to add up 12.6 plus 15.6 plus 14. So perimeter, we're going to add up 12.6 plus 15.6 plus 14. Go ahead and put that into Desmos. And we get 42.2. Our units were feet. Our next figure is not just a basic rectangle. It's definitely not a triangle. This is a parallelogram. So to find the area, let's check out our area formula for a parallelogram. So this guy right here, that's the parallelogram. And the area formula is b times h. Little b just means the base length. So one of the side lengths like that, it's the two sides opposite each other. And then the perpendicular height. So let's find that in our figure. So if the area is base times height, we can say that our base is 15. And our height, well, I've either got to choose 11.2 or 12.3. Which of these is our height? If you're not sure, take a look at the picture again and see where you see h. So height is not necessarily the side length, it's the perpendicular height of the figure. So the distance between one base to another, to the opposite side. So you're looking for that little perpendicular right angle mark. So the measurement that we're going to use is 11.2. Okay, let's plug that into our calculator. So we're probably going to get a decimal with that. That's fine. 15 times 11.2. And we actually get 168. 168 what? Well, this is area, so it's going to be square feet. Now for perimeter, we're looking for the distance around the figure. I need a little bit more information because I don't know all of the side lengths yet. I can't just add up 15, 11.2, and 12.3. That's not going to get me my answer. So let's take a closer look at this figure and talk about, remember, what perimeter actually is. So perimeter is the distance around the figure. Okay, so we're looking at side lengths. So there's one side. Make this a little bit easier to see. So one of the sides is 12.3. Another side is 15 feet. Do that a little bit better. You get the deal. How about this side right here? What's the length of that side? Well, since it's opposite of 12.3, parallelogram opposite sides are congruent, so that side is also 12.3. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about this side right here. We're going to have to add that one up, but that one doesn't have a side length. What's the length of that side? Well, what's it opposite from? It's opposite from 15 feet. Opposite sides are congruent, so that side is also 15. So in order to find the perimeter of this figure, we're going to add up all the sides around it. So we're going to have 12.3 plus 15 plus 12.3 plus 15. So we're actually not even going to include this 11.2 feet. So perimeter, let's add up. So you may be wondering, why didn't we include 11.2? Well, remember, perimeter is the distance around a figure on the outside. 11.2 is talking about a distance inside the figure, so it really has nothing to do with the outsides. So we don't need to include that in our perimeter at all. Perimeter of this figure is going to be 54.6. As always, I'm going to say 54.6 what? Because you need to include a unit. It's going to be feet.